Me and an idiot. You mad? The Otman Oustadi show about to start. In 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Otman Show. My next guest is a family man, a devoted Muslim, sales genius with over 28 years of sales experience. He's an author, a personal growth expert, Mr. Hamid Acharrab. Such a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Nice to meet you too, man.
How are you?
Thank you for inviting me.
I've got something for you before we get started.
Oh, wow.
I've realized that you didn't manage to read this book yet.
That's why you were asking the questions.
I was indeed.
Yeah, quiet, 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐿. The power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will let you know how it was. Did you read it?
No, I didn't. I'm not really a big reader.
What's this?
I'm not really sure you will like that.
Wow.
I was like, let me get you something from Bali since we are.
Oh, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I can give this to my wife and then she will think I bought it for her.
Let's get.
No, she will see the podcast shows.
100%. Well, let's get straight into it. You almost touched 9 figures, almost 100 million. How does that feel? Would you like to talk about that?
I don't mind talking about it, but it's not. You mean in revenue, not in personal.
Either way, it's still a huge.
Because I was in a sales. I built 3 sales organizations that did sales for like these big corporate companies, and I've built like national sales organizations with lots of salespeople. So when you are the only one that has to like work to make money for yourself, then obviously there's a limit to that. And that's like the most people only know that that's the way to make money, to be an employee for a company and then change in your time for money. You exchange time for money. That's basically what you do when you're working in a job for a company. And there's limits to that because there's a limit to your time. 100%. We all have 24 hours. Even the billionaires have 24 hours and the poor man has 24 hours. There's no... Correct. Everyone has the same amount of time, like in a day, not in their life because that's different. But if you want to leverage your time, you're limited.
100%.
So if you learn to replace yourself, like to have people leverage people instead of time, like if you add value to people, you teach them something that you know that will help them make money, then you can leverage the asset of people, and then there's no limit to that. Okay. Like you can build a sales team of like 10 people, but you can also build a sales team of 2,000 people.
But how do you do that? How do you scale to a whole different level? Because managing 2 people is not like managing 1,000.
Yeah, so you have to grow. You have to work on yourself mostly. Like you have to work, like Jim Rohn, one of the quotes that he said that really stuck with me is he said like, work more on yourself than you do on your job. Most people work more on their job than they do on themselves. If you work on yourself, you build skills, and then if you learn how to learn first, right? You learn how to learn anything, a skill, to master a skill. Then you learn how to teach. You learn how to teach that skill to someone else. Like if you would be like a master at something, what would be something that you would say like, I have a great affinity with that and I really know how to do that? What would be? It
would be property.
You know how to do property.
100%.
And that's, you know how to make money with property is what you're saying,
100%.
right? Are there people that would want to learn that?
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So if you would be like, teach that, you would amass a following of students that want to learn from you and that you're adding value to. So like now they pay you to learn how to make money with real estate. And they learn and they will make more than they pay for you, right? Because they buy like a course from you or coaching from you. And then they make 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times that amount. So then you're leveraging people, something that is scalable, right? And the next level, when you know how to teach, is to teach how to teach.
Teach how to teach, okay.
Like if you would like, for me, like I'm a coach. And now I'm in the process of like teaching coaches to teach my method.
Okay.
Because I get more work, more leads, more things than I can handle because I have a method that works. And there are coaches that like are either not good at sales or marketing, or their method doesn't really have that big effect on people.
I see. So you leverage them.
So I ask coaches that like are not making the money that they're making and are not having the results that they want, come to me. I'll teach you how to like amplify that.
100%.
So that's teach to teach. And imagine like now I do like these coaching retreats or coaching groups or whatever. But imagine if I like teach 100 coaches. Get it? Then you're leveraging
Much bigger.
people instead of time.
Then you transitioned from being a sales master to becoming a growth expert, a coach in growth. What's that? What is it? What's a...
There's obviously a lot of overlaps. When I was doing sales and teaching sales, there's lots of psychology and coaching bred into that. When you take like a novice person and you teach them how to sell or how to become a sales manager, then obviously you have to work on their personal development. And I really loved that part of it, of the fulfillment it gave me from developing people. So that's why I transferred into coaching.
But what is it? Sorry, no, to cut you off. What's a personal growth expert, coach? What is it? Like, how do you become one?
How do you become one? Actually, what it is, it's a name. You could give it any other title or any other name. How you become one is you work on yourself first. It's like the same process I just described. Only now you work on yourself until you master something, and then you start teaching others. And when you see people making changes in their lives, you like innovate that and make it better and better and better. Now, I've spent 28 years innovating it and creating better results even. Even now, we just did this mastermind in Bali where you participated. Even after that mastermind, which is like, I did like more than 40 of those retreats with groups of people. The next day, I was sitting working at how can I improve this? How can I innovate this? And I did find some innovations because I was stuck with like the way to scale this because it's I always did it like with between 8 and 12 people to the max because you saw I did all one-on-one sessions.
Yes.
And I had to like figure out the puzzle on how to not have to do them.
Okay, alternative way.
And that's what I figured out after this mastermind.
Is there a way to...
Yeah, I found the way now after like doing 40.
I mean, it's all about self-feedback and that's how we eventually grow. Okay, why do we find... Why do we often grow the most when we go through discomfort?
It's the only way to grow. You can't grow being comfortable. Like imagine you were born as a baby and you never got out of your comfort zone. You never solved any problems. You'd still be wearing a diaper.
Can we grow without... Can growth happen without adversity? Perhaps.
It could happen without adversity because you could like challenge yourself. Like you don't have, if you want to be muscled, you can go to the gym and no one is forcing you to go to the gym. But when you're in the gym, you're like creating this resistance on purpose. Like when you're lifting weights, you're going to lift something that it challenges your muscle, right?
You go through pain.
Yeah, but it's a free choice to do that. But you choose to go through that pain, to choose that resistance in order for your muscle to be stronger.
That's a good analogy.
So you don't have to have adversity to do that. You can choose the pain.
I see. Fair enough. It makes sense. Coming back to you, you spent over 300,000 in events, and you had
in my own working on my own personal development. Yeah.
Yes, and you had the chance to work with people like Tony Robinson.
Yeah. Robbins, isn't it? Not Robinson.
Tony Robbins. Let me ask that again.
Yeah.
You spent over 300,000 on personal development, and you had the chance to work with people like Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
What is it that they taught you that's not in free books? Why do you have to spend such a big sum on yourself?
It's not. All the information is out there, especially nowadays. When I was starting out, it was like 1998, 99. I was like, the internet was there, but it was not the internet that we have now with all the social media and everything. So all the information wasn't really out there. But now all the information, you can go to YouTube and you can find all the information you need. But the thing is, it's not the information that creates transformation.
What is it?
Information, people think, this is a main mistake people make. People think that by reading a book or by watching a podcast or by watching something, you now have knowledge, that you now know something. You don't know. You only have information. When you have information, that's nothing. Knowledge is when you really understand it and you really apply it and you really make it a part of yourself. So I think the most unfit person has the information on how to become fit.
But they don't apply it.
Yeah. So is that knowledge? It's not knowledge. It's only information. So we have an information overload. Like, this is a great Tony Robbins quote. He says we are... I think he says we are inundated by information, but we are starving for wisdom.
I see.
You get wisdom when it becomes knowledge, when you apply it, when it becomes your second nature.
I see. Very interesting. Is there any books that you read and they really changed your life?
Yeah, of course. The books were like a catalyst. They give you information, and then the information can turn into insight. And when you have an insight, it translates into action.
You have to elaborate it within yourself.
If it doesn't translate into action, then it's not an insight. Then it keeps just being information, and you'll forget like 90% of it in 2 weeks anyway. So yes, I love reading books, and I've read thousands of them. And yeah, there are some that stood out that were more impactful than others.
Would you care to share?
Of course. Yeah, I loved all the Tony Robbins books, obviously. But my main book that is like I read every day, that is the life-changing book, if you really take the time to understand it, is the Quran. And there's obviously no other book like it.
That's the best answer I could have had.
Yeah, yeah. But all the personal development lessons that I learned in like 28 years from all other sources, they are the ones that work. Not all of them, but the ones that really work, they are confirmed by the Quran.
MashaAllah.
The thing about positive thinking and about having the power to change your life and all of these things are already there. But if you're reading it from a perspective like most people read it, and I was one of them, so I know and I see in the people around me, they read it like from a obligatory religious practice.
Makes sense. Okay.
And they read it like as worship without really delving into what it means and understanding it.
Okay, they read it just for the sake of reading it, but not to understand the actual meaning of it.
Exactly. To give you an example, the Quran starts with giving you the secret to a fulfilling life. That's how it starts. And people misinterpret that. It says like in Surah Al-Baqarah, الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُ. Those who give from that we have provided them with. And people take that to mean like sadaqah or zakah, to give money.
100%.
But is money really the thing that you were provided with intrinsically?
It's not.
No. What you're provided with intrinsically is your own special, unique powers that come with you by birth that you didn't have to learn. So skills are things that you can learn. Powers are like innate, like you're born with them. So, and if I say powers, I'm not talking about Superman or Spider-Man or whatever. I could be. But like some people have this special skill, natural skill, that they are empathic. Some people are not empathic. Some people are like really, how do you say it? Pragmatic. Like they do. They see a situation. They don't feel a lot. They just see what has to be done. And then they go into action and they do it. Like there could be one situation, one stimulus, and there could be like 20 people, and all will react differently to that situation. One will look at what has to be done, and then they do it. One can like be overcome by anxiety and then collapse. One can go and hide from the situation. Right? We experienced a situation like this. And you saw different people reacting totally differently to the same situation. So the thing that is natural is the thing that you will do automatically that you don't even have to think about.
What comes natural?
Yeah, but it's also the thing that you would underestimate for being a power, because you think it's normal. I have a friend that is extremely funny. You know, he doesn't even have to work at it. He doesn't have to write jokes, or at the moment he improvises and he's extremely funny. And he could make a career out of it, but he doesn't see it. He thinks it's normal.
Okay.
Some people are very good listeners. Some people are very good talkers. Some people are charismatic. Everyone has something unique. And if you give of that, that's when you feel great, right?
100%, yes. Very interesting. When was your biggest setbacks in life? Did you have any? And if so, would you like to?
I have to like reframe the word for myself because I don't call them that.
What would you call it?
I call them lessons. I call them
Lessons.
challenges. Like language is important. If you call something a setback, it will like feel as a setback. If you call something failure, you could call something failure or you could call it feedback.
I would rather call
Yeah, if you call it feedback, then you are prone to learn from it and actually get excited about it because you're learning. When you call it a failure, how would you feel?
a failure.
Yeah.
Essentially.
So if you call something a problem, then it's a problem, then it's heavy, then you have to solve it, then you have to feel bad about it. But if it's a challenge, everyone loves a challenge.
That's a very interesting perspective to look at it. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
You're actually right. You're actually
So,
right.
yeah, setbacks really means what set you back.
And if you call it a lesson,
Nothing will ever set you back because you're always evolving and you're always growing.
correct. And if you call it a lesson, you're learning from it.
Yeah.
And you're growing.
Yeah.
Correct.
So some of my biggest challenges, lessons were like I went through divorce, I went through bankruptcy.
Bankruptcy, divorce, okay.
Going through divorce taught me a lot about the other gender, taught me a lot about how to build relationships, taught me a lot about marriage. Going through bankruptcy taught me the biggest lessons that I could have about business. So I'm actually grateful for them.
Very interesting. This leads me into the next question. Like when you had your bankruptcy,
Yeah.
how do you navigate times of stagnation and overcome them and develop a mindset that helps you grow again and overcome any challenge like that?
We all like have these coping mechanisms that we created when we were young, when we had the setbacks, our first failures and setbacks, our first pain experience. We didn't want to experience them. For me, it was like when my mother died when I was very young, 3 years old. And as a result of that, my father took the decision to bring us all to the Netherlands. So not only did I lose my mother, but I also lost living with all the other people in my house, like my grandmother and my great-grandmother and my oldest brother, and also like the place that I was used to. That was my certainty. I had to leave all that. So that created like this great pain for that little child and had to cope with it. And the coping that I created for myself, and it's unique for everyone, for me was like not caring. I don't care. Like this act of I don't care. And that context that I created at that moment like helped me to not experience that much pain. So it was very useful at the moment, but it also came up whenever I had like these setbacks, as you call them. Whenever I had this big major setback that felt painful at the time, then my coping was to be indifferent about it. So with being indifferent about it, you don't feel as bad so much. So it's like a punishment and a gift at the same time.
I was going to ask, by you feeling indifferent about it, is that not neglecting your emotions? Let's say?
Yeah, it's neglecting your emotions. It's like not accepting reality. It's like living in a bubble.
I see.
In your own fantasy land.
During our last retreat together, you taught us a lot of lessons, and one event that stayed with me the most is when you took a man that was barely speaking, it was extremely shy, and within a couple of hours spending together with yourself, you managed to get him to. Later on that day, he sent us videos in a bar singing karaoke. How did you do that? How do you manage to
You
break
witnessed. You
through?
witnessed. You actually
Actually
witnessed
did.
how I did that,
I
right?
didn't watch a video of it
Yeah.
happening. I actually witnessed it in
Yeah.
person. How do you manage breaking somebody's wall like that?
And it wasn't. It was like 20 minutes or something.
The session was
Yeah,
20 minutes,
yeah.
but a few hours later when he went to the bar,
Yeah, yeah.
his friends sent videos of
Yeah, yeah. So
He
with
was
him,
singing.
what I did with him is I found out what his context was. Like mine was I don't care, and his context was like I have to hide. I have to be silent.
I see.
And I think you were the one who asked him a question. Why he speak so? He didn't speak out loud. No one could hear him. And his answer was, I don't want to hurt people's feelings by being too loud. So there's probably a situation in his youth where he made that conclusion. And he might have forgotten the whole event and the whole conclusion, but it created the context for him from which he is living his life.
And he actually defined himself as a loser.
Yeah,
However,
yeah.
when I spoke to him one-on-one and got to know him more and more, it's incredible how successful this man is.
He's in.
No
yeah.
one, I'm sorry not to cut you off,
Yeah.
no one in that whole retreat
Yeah.
made as much as this guy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely mind-blowing.
So he had this impossible standard for himself, and not hitting that standard means you're a failure. So even though, if you look at his life and you compare it to others, like 90% would say, like, I'll trade with him. He has a great life and he's very successful, right? But for himself, he doesn't feel successful at all.
I mean, he seems to be successful. He's doing well in life.
Yeah.
He's a good Muslim. He has a good family.
Yeah, he's a married guy. He has a good, thriving business.
And he's reasonably
He's healthy.
good looking as well.
Yeah.
Interesting, very interesting. And so how would you say that you help clients break this wall and or as you call it, self-sabotage by giving you by ignoring
Yeah.
your feelings and help you overcome them essentially?
Yeah, the basic gist of it is like we create this context when we're small,
Okay.
and that is like the foundation of everything. So you can have all these layers and all these complex things come from it. But when you have like a big building, you have the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. It's built on a foundation. It doesn't matter what building you have. If you destroy the foundation, what will happen with the building?
It will collapse.
Exactly.
So it all starts when you're a child.
So I focus, like you saw in all of the sessions, my focus is on the foundation. What is the context that you created for your life? And it's hard for people to see that. Because if like this cup is the context, everything in your life is the content. Is like the coffee in here is the content. And whatever I put into the cup, I can put water into it, I can put like tea into it, I could put sand into it, but I can only put in what fits the cup.
In the cup, yeah.
So my life is limited by the context. And what happens if you destroy the context? And you have a different context that is bigger than the cup? Then you can have much different content into it. Like if I want to put this book in here, it can't.
Okay.
And if I want, like, you know the law of attraction?
Yes.
People all about, some people believe in it, some people say no, it doesn't work. It will only work
If you believe in it.
if what you want to attract fits within your context. See, the cup wants to attract this book. It won't hold it because it doesn't fit.
I see. So you have to grow yourself first.
You have to work on the context.
Okay.
And most people don't even know that they don't know that they have a context. They're totally blind to it. It's like the fish in the water that doesn't see the water.
I see.
And you've seen it, right? When I go through the sessions, people give answers, and all the answers come from the context.
A lot of people started crying as well.
Yeah, yeah, because it's deeply it has a deep, profound impact on you when you find it out and when you have the insight and when you change it. Like with this guy, we changed the context from I have to be invisible basically to what? That I have a right to like claim my space, because he was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? If he was created by subhanahu wa ta'ala, if he believes that, at least, you don't have to be a Muslim or anything to believe this. You can take up your space even as an atheist. Some atheists like are also very shy and don't take up their space because they believe they don't have a right to it. But he believes it. He believes in Allah. So I asked him, who created you? He said, Allah. I said, okay, if he created you, did he create you in order for you to not take up any space? Obviously not, right? He's taking space whether he wants to or not. Because if he sat in that chair, while you're sitting in this chair, no one can sit in that. It's your space now. So he had the insight that he had the right to take up his space, and that his self-expression. I also gave him the metaphor of like, if I gave you a gift, like you gave me this gift at the beginning.
Yeah.
Imagine you giving me this gift, and I like throw it over there indifferently, and not look at it anymore, and not even take it home with me when we leave. How would you feel?
Not great.
Yeah,
not respected.
Not respected. You would think I'm ungrateful, right?
Correct.
So Allah gave him this gift of life, and he's not fully experiencing it or expressing it or taking up his space that he has the right to. Well, how would that feel? He's been given a gift and he doesn't take it.
He neglected.
He neglected the gift. So the new context for him was like, I have a right to claim my space, and I use my self-expression and experiences as an act of gratitude towards my Creator.
And his new self used an analogy of making him feel like a lion. You actually got him to roar in front of everyone. Was that necessary? Why would you want to make a big man do that?
I was like, while I was talking to him, he reminded me of this thing Tony Robbins did in one of his videos that's on. Did you see I'm Not Your Guru on Netflix?
No.
I recommend you to watch it. I saw Tony Robbins do this to this man. That was like, you can see that he's a strong man, but he was showing up as a weak man. And that's because he like applied the wrong identity to himself. And I saw the same thing with him. So it wouldn't be necessary to do that. And just by changing the context would already have the job done. But it was a nice extra to put on top, to get like the masculine man out of him.
I actually see him become more confident after that exercise.
Definitely. You saw his whole energy shifted.
Yeah.
Now he was there. First you didn't even notice that he was there, right?
He didn't.
Yeah.
What role has faith played in your life, and how important is it?
It's the number one most important thing for me in life. Yeah. I've had this big journey because I lost my faith when I was like 11, 12 years old. Because when I was young, we would go from school and then we'd go to the mosque to learn Quran. And it was like, not voluntarily, you had to go. And, my upbringing was with the hard fist, like the traditional, you have to do something or else. So lots of fear around it. And also the guys teaching were not really, they didn't have a training or something. They just had a stick, and if you didn't do your best, they would hit you. So it wasn't the best experience for me, but it did make me learn a lot of Quran. So when I was like 12, I knew almost like half of it by heart, without being from an Arabic background, because I'm from a Berber background, from Tashlihit of the south of Morocco. We don't speak Arabic at home. So for me, I didn't understand a word of what I was saying. Even though I didn't understand it, I did get to learn it. But I had this like mind that was thinking and asking questions all the time. And one time, you want me to tell the story?
Yes, 100%.
One time my father, while my stepmother was pregnant, and almost like, he was explaining to us that the stage she was in, that was the stage when the decisions were made whether someone goes to paradise or to hell.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I didn't understand it as well. So I asked my father, so actually the baby before he's born, he's already decided that he will go to either paradise or hell? He says yes. And that didn't sound very honest to me. So I asked him, so if the baby is decided that he will go to hell, there's nothing he can do to change that. Or the other way, if there's this decision that he will go to paradise, there's nothing wrong that he can do to change that, right? He can do anything and it's already decided. And my father, not being very knowledgeable, he didn't know how to answer it. So he left it. And then the same day he went to the mosque and he asked the local imam. He's also not a very knowledgeable guy. And the imam told him that these questions are forbidden to ask. You can't ask these type of questions because they will make you an unbeliever. So my father that day came home very intimidating, very angry, and he forcefully wanted me to never ask these questions again because it's very bad to ask those questions. And frankly, I didn't tell him, but I was really disappointed, and it made me lose faith.
I see.
It made me think this is all a bunch of crap that people made up.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
If your destiny is already decided.
Yeah. What can you do?
Exactly. It doesn't make sense to do anything else.
So when I was 19, 7 years later, I had my own sales office, and I was at the German border, the other side of the Netherlands. I was all by myself. I had my own home, my own sales office, and I had these sales guys that worked in my company. And one of them was this really spiritual guy. And he was always talking spiritual stuff, and he was asking me about my spirituality. And I said, I don't know about that, man. I think there is a God, but I don't know if people really understand him or have even the capacity to understand what he is or even interpret some of his messages or whatever. And then he says, aren't you a Muslim? Like you Moroccans, you're Muslims, right? So I said, yeah, I was raised a Muslim and my parents are Muslim, but I call myself a spiritual guy, not a religious person. And then he was interested in knowing what happened. So I told him the story. And then he told me yeah, you asked the wrong guy. I said, yeah, duh, I already found that out, that I asked the wrong guy. I said, but who's the right guy to ask then? He said, you should have asked the source. I said, what do you mean by the source? He said, you should ask God directly. So I made a joke. I said, do you have his phone number? Then I'll call him and ask him directly. How do you talk to God directly? He said, you just ask. You just talk. He will hear you. And he will send you a message. He will let you know. He won't let you know by calling you or telling you, but he will let you know by the signs that he gives. So I left it at that. And you can say it's a coincidence. I don't believe it is. But the next day, I went for lunch to the center of that city. And when I was there was this big line in front of a bookstore. And I always go to bookstores because I like books. And I saw that line, and I was interested what all the fuss is about. So I came near, and I saw that there was this author that launched his new book, and he was signing books. And when I came closer, I saw that it was a translation of the Quran, a Dutch translation of the Quran. And I was like, hey, all of this time that I was learning Quran, I never knew what it meant. And I never, ever read a Dutch translation.
Wow. That was your first time reading it in Dutch?
Yeah. So I went in, I bought one, I had it signed by the author, and then I went back to my office. And I didn't think anything of it, but when I got back in the office, I remembered the conversation I had the day before. And then I thought to myself, could this be part of that answer and part of that whole thing?
It certainly was.
Yeah. So I went into my office. I put the copy of the Quran in front of me. Only me in the office. All the salespeople are obviously out doing their sales thing. And I looked at the book, and I did an effort to connect with God if he was there. And I said, if you're there, and if this is really your word, then give me the answer to my question. Whether everything is already decided before we're born or that we have a say in it. So I opened up the Quran. I read some little bit in the introduction first. And then I opened it randomly somewhere. And that was a great, majorly great experience, because where I opened it and the verse that I started reading somewhere in the middle of the page,
It did not. Did it?
it was the answer to my question.
It sounds like a movie.
Yeah, bro. Like I have these, like, how do you call it when your skin is like...
Chicken skin.
Chicken skin. I got this chicken skin. I started crying like crazy.
What was the answer?
It was, what do you think it was? It was that it's in your hands. It was Surah Al-Isra, Surah number 17. I don't remember the exact verse, but it goes like, وَكُلَّ إِنسَانٍ أَلْزَمْنَاهُ طَائِرُهُ فِي عُنُقِهِ ونخرج له يوم القيامة كتابا يلقاه منشورا اقرأ كتابك كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا. So the Arabs, and there was this note, like the old Arabs used to link destiny with birds. So if you saw this type of bird, that meant this is your destiny. If you saw this type of bird, it meant that. So ta'ir is not only bird, it means like your destiny.
I see.
So it says we have put every person's destiny around his own neck, which means that you decide your own destiny. You make your own choices. You are a free person and you make your own choices. Nothing is decided for you. And because of that, you get to be enough as a witness to yourself on the last day. It's not necessary to have any other witnesses because you know what you did. You know what you chose.
So the information was misinterpreted.
Obviously. So why would you have a trial for someone if you are the one who put him through the path that he didn't have a choice in the path he took? That wouldn't be honest, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most honest there is, the most just. He won't, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَظْلِمُ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ. He won't even act unjustly to you with the weight of a mustard seed. So that made me like want to really know about it. So then that's when I had lots of free time, obviously, because I had like this morning meetings in the morning to motivate the salespeople, and then they got out like at 11 o'clock in the morning, and they came back like 10 in the evening.
Oh, wow. Those
So I had the whole day.
shifts.
I had like 2 hours of work, like doing interviews only on Monday and Tuesday for new recruiting.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time I had time off. And I was making bunch loads of money anyway, so I had lots of free time, and I like immersed myself into understanding the Quran and understanding everything that Islam is all about. So together with all the personal development stuff, and then I started discovering all the personal development lessons inside the Quran.
MashaAllah. And how do you help people align their faith with their personal goals as a coach?
It depends on their personal goals, obviously.
And
if their personal goals are not like in line with what the faith allows, then they have a challenge. But most people, like, they don't really have goals that are destructive or anything.
Very interesting. Do you believe there is only one or multiple realities?
Personally,
Yeah.
I do believe that there are multiple realities.
And that's exactly what I asked you the question. I had a feeling that you
Yeah.
that you have you believe that there is more than one. Tell me
Yeah.
about it.
So, if you come back to faith and you believe that Allah is the Almighty and all-encompassing and all-powerful and He can do everything He wants, why would He create only one reality?
Makes sense.
He could create unlimited realities with unlimited experiences, with unlimited versions of anything. And there are even hadiths about it.
So do you believe in aliens?
And what?
Aliens?
Aliens is just a word that we call phenomena that we don't understand. You could call them aliens, you could call them demons, you could call them jinn. There are multiple interpretations how you could call these creatures that we don't understand,
I
right?
see. I mean, makes sense. I mean, I personally believe there is some sort of, if not humans, some sort of other creatures living in different planets.
Yeah, I think it's pretty arrogant to think that we're the only ones
They would be quite
in the
selfish.
vast multiverse.
Indeed, indeed. What would you advise your younger self?
And I love the quote that said the proof that there are aliens is because they haven't contacted us yet.
I mean,
We're
there's
too
people.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there
there's
are people that millions, not just
that have said that
Yeah.
they have been contacted by
Yeah,
aliens
yeah.
before. What would you advise your younger self, knowing what you know now? What would you have done differently?
I love that question, but I have like this nuance for it
What is it?
because I see that question being asked a lot
Is it?
to people. Yeah, whenever I see someone that is interviewed, or people will ask, "What would you advise your younger self?" And I'll give you what I would advise my younger self. But the nuance is, my advice for my younger self will not necessarily be good advice for anyone else's younger self.
What do you mean by that?
Because the purpose of your question, like, is to have the viewers get the good advice, right?
100%, yes.
So if I would come out and give the advice, it would work for some people. But for some people, it will be counterproductive.
Why would you
Because
say that?
people are different.
But the advice, generally speaking, will be good. Or
That's what you would think. So for me, I'm like this spontaneous, creative, improvising person,
I see.
right? So I have my challenge automatically becomes that I postpone things, that I do things at the last minute, that I easily distracted. So I would give advice
To stay focused,
to stay focused and to create structure in my life and
take action, and
Yeah. But there are people that are naturally structured, have focus, and they lack like the creativity, they lack the improvisation skills.
I see.
So if someone listening here, I would give that advice and you think, okay, I have to work on that, but you're already a genius at that. So why would that be advice for you?
It makes sense. You really think deep into
Yeah.
things. I love that. That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, sometimes I hear advice and then I think, okay, that's good advice, but it will only be good advice for a minority of people. It will not work. Like peanuts, they are healthy, but there are people allergic to peanuts.
Well, it makes sense.
If
Actually,
someone that hears that advice and he doesn't know he's allergic, takes a peanut and then he gets sick, right?
it's actually a very good way of thinking it.
Yeah.
Mr. Hamid,
Yes, brother.
thank you so much for coming. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you
It was a
for inviting
pleasure
me.
having this conversation.
Barakallahu feek.
Jazakallah khairak.
Yo! It's Otman again. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to never miss a valuable episode.